Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from Corn Productions Deep Dive TV Podcast with my co-host Stacie here to talk about Under the Dome, Season 2, Episode 1, titled Heads Will Roll. The episode's description reads as follows. As Barbie's fate lies in Big Jim's hands, the Dome presents a new threat when it becomes magnetized. Meanwhile, Julia seeks out help of a stranger to save the life of a mysterious girl. The episode was written by Brian K. Vaughan. I mean, at least that's all I get for writing credits. They didn't actually list a writer for this episode, but he was the showrunner for at least the 4 episodes of the show before moving on and handing it off to another showrunner.
I saw something that suggested Stephen King actually was involved in the writing of this one.
Okay.
I don't know if that's official or not.
I mean, he was also the other listed writer, but that he's listed as a writer on all of the episodes.
Right, as based upon.
Right.
But
I mean, at least until the 3rd season.
I feel like I read something that said he actually participated in this one.
Okay. This is also based on the book by Stephen King, which we just brought up. The episode was directed by our friend Jack Bender.
Yeah.
And the episode originally aired on June 30th, 2014. I did not originally take note of last season's when they aired.
Well,
but
it was summer of 2013.
Yeah.
I think it ended in August sometime.
Yeah.
So we're 10 months later.
Yeah.
Some time has passed. A typical season.
Right.
Not like 2020 seasons, which are very unpredictable between...
Right. It could be like years.
Between the pandemic and the strikes, we've had a very interesting decade so far.
Yes.
Where things could be anywhere from a year to 4 years between seasons.
Mm-hmm. Right.
This is back when things were pretty regular. They aired a year later.
Mm-hmm. Before we go any further, I'll tell you a couple things. One, this is not appropriate podcast. If you haven't watched the episode, I highly recommend you go and check it out. And then come back and give us a listen. Secondly, if you're listening on one of the platforms that this podcast is now available on, please follow. And feel free to check out my YouTube channel, Corn Productions, where additional content can be discovered. If you're already on my YouTube channel, please like, share, and comment. And subscribe to our channel. All right. So, we're finally
talking in season 2.
Yes, it only took us 2 years.
Yeah, we're
275 podcasting episodes. Yeah.
See, it took us a while to get here.
Yep.
But that's because we did season 1 twice. We loved it so much.
Well, what it really came down to is we kind of hated our podcast and the way we tried to do it for season 1, so we just started
it again.
Over. Yeah.
So we're finally in season 2. So this is my first time watching a season 2 episode in a long time. Because last time we tried to do this, we stopped after season 1.
Right.
So I feel very less comfortable with what the heck happens episode to episode from here on out. I remember the big threads, but as far as this happens and then that happens and all the little things in between, it's going to be a surprise to me, when things hit.
It's going to be like watching a new series.
I mean, I don't think anything's going to make me go, oh, I forgot about that. But I'm going to be like, oh, that happens now?
Right, yeah. You don't remember necessarily the order. All right, so as far as this episode goes, what are your thoughts about the episode?
I think if you were to look at this episode in a bubble, it's not terrible. Right? The episode itself has some good action, and I don't like action, but as far as action, it's good action. It's got some good scenes. It's got... I'm trying to think of positive things to say.
Because...
I loved the knives flying across the room scene.
Yeah.
That scene was great. Some great direction by Jack Bender there to make that happen. We got to see the diner in this episode.
We do.
I think this is the last time.
I think you're wrong about that.
Okay.
I think we do continue to see the Sweetbriar Rose.
Do you think so?
I think so. I think that's where they bring Jim and the other character whose name I can't think of off the top of my head. After the trial, after Julia decides to forgive them, that happens at the Sweetbriar Rose.
Maybe.
So I'm pretty sure that's...
and remember, that's something I've been tracking since the first time we started, was these locations.
Right.
And I had it in my brain that we lose the Sweetbriar after season 1, but it was in this episode.
So
but
I'm
also, so is Angie. She's the one keeping it alive.
Right. Fair.
So... I'll keep my eyes on what happens with the Sweetbriar. Is it just an empty building in the future that nobody's running?
No, I'm pretty sure that it continues to run. And
Who's running it?
I don't know. And that might be an issue in itself, but I'm pretty sure we continue to see the Sweetbriar Rose.
Okay. Other than hey, this is the start of a crappy season, because we know that. If you're just looking at this episode and pretending like we don't know anything that happens next, here's my biggest problem. Looking at just this episode, is we meet way too many new characters all at once.
I guess
we're introduced to 4 brand new recurring characters in this episode.
Yeah. I think my biggest beef with the episode, other than some of the problems I'm going to bring up with, like Junior's character, for instance, which I've been saying for a while now, is the fact that this episode is very disjointed and all over the place.
Yeah.
There are good scenes, there are good things happening, but it's just so all over the place.
Yeah, I have a note that says this episode gives you whiplash.
Exactly.
Because they're trying to resolve everything they left us in season 1, which is not where they want to continue.
Right.
So we're trying to resolve things very quickly and without any actual resolution.
Right.
Like the fact that the whole town thinks Barbie's a killer. We're just
Right.
going to be like, yeah, let's forget about that. The whole town's helping him build a magnet now.
Right. Yes. I mean, that's a big problem in itself. I don't know how I feel about a lot of the new characters. I guess Sam remains on for the remainder of the season. Not all these characters do.
Sam remains on the remainder of the series.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Whereas not every character does.
Right.
I don't know. He's fine in this episode. I don't remember if I actually think anything of his character going forward, whether he's a worthwhile character or not. Here he's decent, but also kind of bland at the same time, which I think comes down to the actor, but...
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're kind of supposed to feel that, though, because he's been a recluse living by himself for 9 years.
Yeah.
Avoiding people at all costs.
Right. Yeah, and that's... a lot of these character introductions are fine, but there's, one that we have a major problem with.
Right.
And we'll certainly get to that in a little bit, but...
Now, the trade-off for us getting 4 new characters is...
we lose a couple.
We have 2 main character deaths in this episode.
One of which I have a major objection to. The other which I don't like, because I like the character, but at the same time, I don't mind how it's handled, and it's actually relevant for the remainder of the series. So, It actually means something.
Sure, but I hate it.
Yes.
Because they're, like I said, they're both from the main cast, and I love both of them.
Yeah.
And I wanted them to continue being there.
Yes.
And how this story would have unfolded with them present.
Now, you've mentioned that that's kind of how the book was, but I get that. At the same time, there's a little bit of a difference between what's satisfying in a book and what's satisfying in a TV show.
Right.
And just randomly killing your main characters off.
Right.
So
in my head, I was comparing this to some other shows, right? And if you think about something like The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Or The 100. Okay, this example fits both of those and tons of other shows too, where it's typical for shows like that, where every new season, we're flipping the narrative. The show becomes something different each season. We lose main characters, and we get new ones. And it makes sense in those cases because we've got characters who are acting nomadically, they're traveling, they're meeting new people, and they're facing a lot of dangers, so people die.
Right.
The problem is we're doing it under a dome. Nobody is moving. That's the problem.
Right.
We're isolated. Nobody can come. Nobody can leave. So for us to be rotating main characters between seasons feels weird here. Sure, people are going to die.
Yes.
But we're killing people to make room for new people is the problem.
Yes.
It doesn't work.
No, it does not. But, all right, do we have anything else to say before diving in?
I think we should just go
scene by scene.
Scene by scene and get into season 2.
Okay.
Under the Dome.
So we begin where we left off, and we see a new character, Sam, as...
Before that, I just want to mention in our summary, our on-air summary, we're told 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
So we have a timeline. It's been 3 weeks from season 1 took 3 weeks.
Which is kind of insane in itself. But, so the Dome is relighting, and Sam is played by Eddie Cahill. 23 credits for him, including 3 episodes of NCIS New Orleans, which of course was with Scott Bakula. Blue Bloods, which I have Blood here, but it's Blue Bloods, which actually had Tom Selleck in, who we just recently talked about because he was, featured somewhat as a archive footage in Another Mother, and the movie Miracle.
He was in 197 episodes of CSI New York.
Oh, okay.
As well as 7 episodes of Friends.
So Barbie is still in the noose with Junior with his hand on the lever as the town is relighting, and we're starting to hear some weird sounds.
So we're picking up immediately where we left off. It feels like in this first 5 minutes, oh, maybe this is going to be a cohesive story.
Yes.
For 5 minutes.
Yep. Junior is freaking out because of the noises, and Jim is telling him to pull the lever now, but Junior says he's afraid. And we cut to Julia. She sees a girl drowning in the lake.
Because remember, she just dropped the egg in the lake.
Right.
So she's leaving, and she hears a girl in the water in need of help and dives in.
Yep. And the insinuation, I guess, here is that once she dropped the egg in the lake, I guess she came out of the egg or something.
I mean, that's where we land, but we don't know that yet.
Right. Okay.
That doesn't come up in this episode.
Okay. So Angie, Dory, and Joe almost get killed by the church bell falling on them. Joe actually showing...
the bell doesn't fall on them. The bell flies across space and slams into the dome because the dome is now magnetized.
Right.
But because of that, the steeple itself breaks, almost hits them. Joe saves the girls.
Yes, and he actually has some survival instincts now. Maybe he learned something from Barbie.
Yeah, I guess so.
As opposed to last season when he just watches the plane was about to crash into him. So the people are starting to fall unconscious. Barbie wants to be released to help. And Jim's like, forget about it. You're crazy. And Junior decides he will not pull the lever. And Jim is about to do it himself when Linda finally steps up.
She does.
Just in time to die.
Did she redeem herself for you in this moment? Because I know you had a big problem with her allowing this to happen in the first place.
A little bit. So here's the thing. If Linda had gone on to be a continuing regular character, and we were actually able to build her character, and have some kind of arc for her, and have her show some growth,
and become a good cop,
I would have less issues with what we saw from her in the first season, because then it would seem like it was intentional. But as it stands, soon she's gonna die and be wiped off the board. So she's not going to get a chance to actually have an arc or growth or anything.
Well, she has growth in this one moment.
This one moment, yes. So she's finally standing up to Jim and pulls a gun on him and says she's not going to let him do it. He thinks that Junior is right, that they should go to the dome and figure out what the heck is going on. Of course, this is going to be a mistake, but nevertheless.
It's not a mistake to save Barbie.
No. Julia pulls the girl out. And wow, okay. Oh, okay, so I did put it there. I just didn't put it here. So she's played by Grace Victoria Cox. 15 credits for her, including an episode of the Magnum P.I. reboot, the Twin Peaks revival, and I think she was in like 10 episodes of that.
She was only in one episode of the Twin Peaks.
Okay. And Chicago Med.
She was in a movie Manson's Lost Girls. So she got to play some crazy killer lady.
Gotcha.
And she was in all 8 episodes of The Society. I know I've told you about that one before.
Yes, and I saw that credit.
Here's the fun thing about that. I'm taking these notes and I saw that credit and I went, she was?
Gotcha.
And as of the time I'm doing this, I hadn't actually, I do the IMDb notes before I do the episode notes, so I hadn't actually seen her.
Yeah.
I've seen her before, but I hadn't seen her that day that I was taking the notes, and I was like, I need to look up who this girl looks like, because maybe I'm not remembering what she looks like right. So I'm looking at pictures of Melanie, and I'm like, okay. And then I had to, look up the character from The Society and look up her pictures, because I could not put her in that show. Could not place her at all. And then once I did, I was like, okay, I remember her. These are the same person. Totally missed it. I've watched that series twice. Totally missed. And she's kind of a main character. She's not like some side person you meet twice. She's there.
Gotcha.
And I totally missed that this was the the actress.
So when was The Society
2017.
Out? So 3 years after the series.
That surprised, or was it 19? It was in the teens still.
Okay.
But it surprised me because in my mind it was a year ago.
Yeah, that's how time works now.
And so at first I was like, wow, so a decade later she's still playing a teenager.
Right. No, this is only a few years after that.
And then I noticed the date for the Society credits and I went, what? We just found out a few months ago it was canceled and they're not making a season 2. Or maybe it was a few years ago. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's something that happens when you get old.
Well,
is you start
I know the pandemic was involved in between seasons.
Mm-hmm.
But based on the date, it was pre-pandemic the show came out.
Right.
And maybe the pandemic is the reason it was canceled, but I feel like that just happened.
Yeah.
They just canceled it. So I was my mind was blown for a minute. I had to take a break from taking notes because I was not only did I not recognize this actress when she's got kind of a big role in 2 separate things that, I watched probably not that far apart, both originally and in rewatches.
Wow.
Apparently. But I was completely convinced that the society would have been a whole decade after Under the Dome, and it wasn't. It's where, like, these two timelines, these 2 decades just clashed into each other, and I went, oh.
Gotcha.
Because this was a decade ago.
Right.
But that...
The other series, not so much.
It broke me a little bit, to be honest.
Okay.
But if you haven't watched The Society, go watch it. It's only 8 episodes. It got canceled. There's no resolution, but the 8 episodes that exist is a good story.
I mean, if you go in knowing that it's not going to get any resolution,
right.
Maybe
It's one of those.
Yeah, you can enjoy it on some level.
It's one of those where you just know that you're not going to get any answers. Sorry.
I mean, most TV series you're not going to get any answers to.
Yeah, but it's a little. It falls in the realm of From.
Yeah.
And I guess Under the Dome, even, which is kind of why we're talking about Under the Dome, because it's a little bit resemblance of From. And that is where it's about a town that's isolated from the world, because the world doesn't exist outside of this town. But in that town, it's only teenagers.
Yeah, okay.
They were on a class trip.
Yeah, you told me about
this.
They
get dropped off at home, and everybody's gone. Their parents are gone, the kids are gone. It's just the teenagers, the high school kids that went on this trip. And there's nobody in the town when they get back. The bus leaves, and then there is no leaving. There is nothing outside of this town. The town only exists inside the middle of impenetrable woods. Every exit from the town has been erased, basically.
Gotcha.
And I really want to know what it was, and we're never going to get an answer, and that's sad. But yeah, she's one of the teenagers.
Okay. So Sam ends up happening upon them as she's drowning. And basically proceeds to save her.
Yeah, so this character is Melanie Cross. We do not learn that in this episode.
No, I think it's like several episodes before we learn that.
But I do refer to her as Melanie in my notes, because I wasn't going to just be like, the mysterious girl.
I mean, I also have her as Melanie in my notes, but I also I kind of interchange between the two, mysterious girl versus,
Well, her name's Melanie. You're not going to learn that yet, but if you're watching this, hopefully this is a rewatch for you. But that also doesn't tell you anything.
Right.
Just by telling you her name's Melanie. I'm not spoiling, like, her plot line, just her name. So there you go.
All right. So Jim, Jr., Linda, and Barbie go to the dome. I have my notes dorm, but that's not correct. And
they should have went to a dorm. That would have been a better choice.
And everything metal starts heading towards the dome, which includes Barbie in handcuffs.
Yeah, so we've got, like, the strongest magnetic pull ever.
Yep. Is
pulling everything magnetic to the dorm. To the dome.
Right.
You made me say dorm. So yeah, Barbie is very rapidly being pulled to the dome. Linda's trying to help him.
Yes.
And she screams for help. Help me!
Right.
But guess what? Nobody's helping.
Nobody else is going to. So she's trying to help him, and she manages to get Barbie out of the handcuffs just in time to go splat.
She pushes him out of the way, and then this vehicle that's been approaching. So the vehicle's coming closer.
Yeah.
Which easily makes sense because it's on wheels.
Right.
It's being pulled by this magnetic force. Barbie told her, go, leave me. She doesn't. She gets him uncuffed, which was hard because the keys are stuck to the dome. And realistically, she should not have been able to pull those keys off if this is that strong of a magnetic force that is pulling bells out of towers.
Or the truck, for that matter.
All of that, right? Yeah, because keys are little, and they would be stuck so hard that you're not pulling them off. But anyway, she pulls them off and she gets him out. She pushes him out of the way. The truck hits her.
And she goes to splat.
She didn't try jumping. She just tried pushing him out of the way.
Right. And, that's our opening scene. That's our credits.
That's R.I.P. for Officer Linda Escobar.
Played by Natalie Martinez.
Now, we do see Natalie more in the episode, but make no doubt, Linda is dead.
Yes.
She's dead. And this is her final appearance this episode.
Yeah. So I find this kind of a goofy, somewhat disrespectful death, first of all.
Yeah.
Also, like I said, it just kind of like... It makes it so that she can't have any kind of arc or growth. What we're left with is the first season Linda, who doesn't stand up to Jim in any kind of way. She does for a few moments in this episode before she dies.
And she does stand up to save Barbie in this moment.
Yes.
She risked her life. She gave her life to save him.
Yes. But it just kind of it's frustrating because it's just like, this is a person that we spent some time with that we didn't get a chance to see grow, and we just kind of wipe her off the board.
And
it's a waste.
confused of why they killed her, to be honest.
Yes. I mean, maybe she wanted to leave the series.
I tried looking, and I didn't find any answers as to what happened. Was there some behind-the-scenes reason she left?
Right.
I couldn't find anything.
Right.
So why are we killing this character?
Yeah, this is the death that I object to.
Because she lives through the book.
Yes.
She's a steady arc through the book.
Right. Yes.
I mean, maybe saying she lives through the book is misleading, but she exists through the book.
Okay. Yeah.
Without spoiling the book.
Right. So she's wiped off the board. I find that disappointing. I mean, I already knew that was the case, but I just always kind of frustrated with that particular death in this episode.
Yeah, because we're basically, here's what's happening. We're replacing her character with Rebecca Pine. And that's what we're doing.
And I don't like Rebecca Pine.
Why are we doing this?
Right. I don't like that particular character.
I don't like her either.
It's not, and it has nothing to do with the actress, who we will talk about in a moment.
Yeah, let's wait till we get there. We'll talk about Rebecca.
Okay. So, when we come back from the credits, Julia and Sam tend to the mystery girl who is not talking. Sam plays doctor on Julia, and yes, I very much intentionally wrote that note, with her bullet wound. And she seems to be under the impression that Barbie is dead.
Yeah, he asks her who stitched it up, and she's like, a friend of mine who didn't make it. And we learned that Sam used to be an EMT. He was an EMT for 10 years, but he has a drinking problem, and that cost him his job.
So, I don't really like the fact that we kind of play with the whole possibility that Sam might get with Julia. We're definitely kind of playing with that a little bit, and we will continue to do that a little bit, but at least a little bit in the season. I know that happens at least once where they're kind of insinuating that might happen, and I don't really enjoy that too much. But
I didn't pick up that energy in this.
No, I mean, there was a point where her shirt was down, and
because she has a bullet wound on her chest.
I mean, I get that, but
it's a medical scene.
I get that. But when she's walking away, her strap is still down. I thought it
happens. Okay, it's pretty normal. It happens most days. Half of the day, at any given moment, that's what's happening. I'm gonna tell you.
All right, but it still felt like they were playing with the whole sexual tension angle that I didn't particularly like. It seems like Sam is kind of like a wedge character between Barbie and Julia, and I don't think that's really necessary because there already was a wedge issue that they completely drop, and that's the fact that he killed her husband. I don't think we ever bring that up again.
We see him again.
Yes.
Peter Shumway comes back at the end of this season.
All right, well, we'll see what they do.
So we're going to mention him again, at least, in some fashion. We're going to get to see him.
All right, so Barbie is blaming himself for Linda's death. Jim thinks it's Junior's fault for some reason.
Because he didn't kill Barbie.
Oh, okay.
He's like, if you just pulled the lever and killed him like I told you to, none of this would have happened.
So Barbie defends Junior, and then defends himself against the accusations, but they only bring up the death of Dodie. And that's the only thing they seem to care about.
And we forget about all of the 5 other people that died.
I mean, he was accused of killing Natalie Z's character.
Yeah, Max. And her mother. And the goon that worked with them.
Right. Not to mention...
And something else.
Yeah, there was multiple... Oh, well...
The fire.
Right, yeah.
Which involves Dodie's death, but...
Right. That's the only thing they seem to care about, though.
Yeah.
They also don't bring up Peter Shumway again.
No,
which is the only thing he actually is
guilty of that. Right.
But so, yeah, he basically says, I'm innocent, and Junior has a sudden personality shift. He suddenly cares that Barbie is innocent of this.
I think he's realizing it for the first time.
Okay, but...
He believed his dad previously.
Yes, but Barbie already brought up the fact that he was innocent of all the things he was accused of.
Right, but now...
And Junior did not give 2 shits.
The difference is now he saw Linda stand up and defend Barbie, and he actually respected Linda, right?
Fair enough.
And now he's seeing, which falls on you saying Linda sucked previously, because maybe she could have turned the whole thing around, like even by convincing other people very quickly. But also I think it's because Barbie and Jim are having this face-to-face confrontation now, and Barbie, Junior is picking up that energy, and he's like, oh wait, I can tell my dad's lying right now because I'm seeing both of them at the same time. And suddenly he realizes, hey, I got to listen to the dome. The dome told me I got to kill my dad. Remember, that's still hanging. We don't get to that till later in the episode, but that's still hanging in his mind that he ignored the dome telling him he had to kill his dad.
All right, so this goes to something that I have just a problem with in general with Junior's character. In that,
he flip-flops a lot?
Yes. Well, not only that, but we're as I said before, we've changed him into a good guy, and I think that was a mistake. I think we should have kept him as an antagonist. Like, we were heading that way when he shot the Dundee brothers in cold blood.
Yeah.
And, also with the whole Angie stuff and keeping her kidnapped. I think we should have kept him psychotic and an antagonist, and not turned him into some kind of bland good guy.
Well, I agree with you, but I think the point could be made that he was following in his dad's footsteps. He was becoming his father's son. Mm-hmm. And maybe he realized he's an asshole because he realized his dad's an asshole, and he has time to redeem himself and to become a better person.
You know what? I hear that, and that would be a good arc if that was in any way in the text of the actual episode or the series. Like, I could see that if they actually, planned that out and had him actually play that arc. But that's not what the show does.
No, it's just he's crazy.
Right.
He is crazy.
Yes.
He's a crazy character.
Yes.
And yeah, they start just pulling away from that. Is what happens.
Yes, and I think, once again, I think that's a mistake. And towards the end of the episode, I'll explain why more. But yeah. So Julia thinks the past doesn't matter any. Oh yeah, okay. So Jim and actually before this, so Jim and Barbie get into this violent confrontation where they're starting to beat each other up. Barbie gets the upper hand because he's actually military and he should win this battle. And then he runs off, and Junior's like, "Where are you going?" And it's to save Julia.
Yeah, he's like, "I gotta find Julia." Right. And at this point, Jim confirms to Junior, "Yes, I'm the one that killed everybody because I had to."
But at the same time, he already told Junior this in the finale.
Did he?
He did. He said, "I did kill a bunch of people, but they deserved it, and it's what needed to happen." And then they embraced and hugged.
Did he tell him that Barbie didn't kill people?
No, probably not. But, he basically said that, yes, people died by my hand, but they had to die.
So maybe the difference is he's admitting just to Dodie's death, because that's the only one we're talking about here.
All right, fair enough. So Julia thinks the past doesn't matter anymore for Sam.
I had such a hard time remembering his name throughout my notes.
Yes.
I had to go back to my cast list every single time I needed his name. I could not pull the name Sam out of my head for nothing.
It's a pretty common name, and this is kind of a bland character. So
we do take notes in another series where we use the word Sam every sentence.
Yes.
Maybe I just got to remember that, and that'll help me. I got it now. Okay. We'll see if that works next week. Next time we do this.
Her basic point is we need EM. We could use people with your
she's
skills.
like, hey, we could use your medical skills. Because remember, we have no doctors.
Yep.
We had 2 nurses, but they're gone now. We're never going to see them again.
Right.
I don't know where they went, but we're never going to see them again. So they're gone.
Right. And we cut to Barbie, who's trying to steal a truck and has a gun pointed at him by Rebecca Pine, played by Carla Chrome. 29 credits for her, including 8 episodes of Carnival Row, 6 episodes of Hit and Miss, 3 episodes of Monroe.
Okay.
I'm familiar with none of this.
I've got some other ones, but similarly, I don't know any of them.
Well, the only one that sounds familiar to me is Carnival Row, which I'm pretty sure was an HBO series. But
she also was in shows called The Level and Misfits, but nothing I've seen.
So, this is the worst character introduction in this episode, and actually in the series. Because
are we going to talk about it here?
We might as well.
Okay.
So basically, she's a science teacher. She's going to be...
We are introduced to her in this moment for a reason. So it's her truck that Barbie happens to be trying to steal.
Yeah, so she calls Barbie a murderer. He gets a gun out of her hands.
That's the thing. Remember, the town thinks he's a murderer.
Right, yes.
He was about to be executed.
Yes.
People are believing this.
Yep, and he takes the gun out of her hand, gives it back, saying he's not a murderer.
In other words, yes, I'm strong enough to get the upper hand on you,
yeah,
but I don't want to.
Right.
And here's the thing. Rebecca, that was enough for her.
Yeah.
She instantly forgets that we think he's a murderer,
Yeah.
With 5 or 6 bodies under his belt. And they start working together. In the same breath. She's like, okay, cool, let's solve this.
Right. She calls...
What?
Yeah. Well, yeah. She calls the noises groans, which I found interesting. She reveals herself to be a high school science teacher. And basically, she's going to be involved in...
everything this season.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like, where was this person last
that's
season?
the part. But yeah, she says that if they don't stop the magnetism and the sounds and whatever's happening, all these people... because more than half the town's, like, just passed out on the ground. And she's like, they're going to die if we don't solve this.
Right.
Her high school science teacher tells her that, you know, they're in trouble.
Right.
Okay, so Rebecca Pine, she's a teacher. And I'm also have the thing where I'm conflating the introduction of her with the introduction of the high school itself, which you know I have problems with that.
Yes, and that's in this
and we're going to
episode.
talk about that this episode
Right.
also. So both of these things is just such a problem for me. But trying to talk just about Rebecca, Sam's character introduction, I can deal with. It made sense.
Yes,
because
he was
he's
a
a
recluse.
recluse.
Yeah.
He's been living in that cabin. We learn later that, you know, they haven't seen him since 9 years, okay? And he was mentioned in the first episode.
He was.
In pilot episode, Duke and Linda are talking, and they got a call from Sam Verdot that he heard noises.
Yes.
We never found out who that was. Now we know who he was. And it was very smart of them to pick a name they'd already used when introducing this character, because it's like, yes, he's always been here.
Right.
We just don't care about him because he's
Right.
just living in the woods. The science teacher, though, who at the end of this episode gets brought in to run the town.
I mean, basically, yeah.
That's a problem.
Yes.
That she says right in this scene, I've been studying the dome since the day it came down.
Right.
Have you?
I mean...
where were you when the whole town was getting together
Yes.
to try and fix this?
Right.
Where were you then? Where were you during all these town hall meetings where we're
Right.
talking about the implications of the dome? Where were you with all your science then?
Right. Not to mention, she's also important to Joe.
She's important to Joe. She's Joe's teacher.
Right.
They have a very close relationship we're
Right.
going to learn going forward.
Right.
They work together throughout the rest of the season.
Right.
He's her best student.
Mm-hmm.
Where's she been?
Right. and I also kind of hate the character. This is nothing against Carla Chrome. She does a fine, acting job with the character. I just don't like the character. I kind of find her humorless for starters, and she does some stuff that, like, okay, that's just not believable. There's no way a high school science teacher is capable of doing that with high school equipment.
Right.
If she were capable of doing this stuff, she would not be a high school science teacher. She would be working for the government or something like that.
Right.
In some secret lab. Like, her character just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we need science? Let's
Right.
bring in a science person.
Right.
And we're going to replace her. We're going to get rid of Linda's character to make room for her.
Right.
Basically. Like it feels like that's the direct trade-off, right?
Right,
Because
yes.
she becomes one of the town, like, official people
Mm.
that we go to when we're dealing with all these problems. We've got Jim and we've got Barbie and Julia, like, are part of that whole
Yep.
little club. And we had Linda, we got rid of her, and now Rebecca's part of that club.
Right. Yeah. All right. I already said it. Okay. Joe, Nori, and so Barbie realizes that Joe might be in danger because of the magnetic pulses are stronger the closer you are to the dome. Which, this is kind of a jumping to conclusion moment that, like, he's told about this and he's instantly thinking about Joe being in trouble.
Well, I don't think that happened until later.
No, it actually is mentioned here.
I think I'm lost in my notes a little bit.
Yeah. So she mentions the groans and everything that's going on, and she says that everything, anything closer to the dome will be more affected by the magnetic pulses. So Barbie then realizes that Joe is in trouble.
Right. Okay, because his farm's right on the dome.
Yeah. And meanwhile, we cut to Joe, Nori, and Angie. They're contending with that. Their house is falling apart.
So yeah, they go to the farm. Carolyn,
Yes.
the remaining mom.
Yes.
She's passed out on the floor because remember half the town's just passed out.
Yep. Another appearance by Alicia Hines.
So they're trying to save her.
Yes.
They're gonna try and drag her out of the house, but The house is basically alive at this point. And I do love this scene, like how it's produced. It's visually fun to watch this.
It also feels like the most Stephen King kind of
Absolutely.
moment.
It is very Stephen King with the knives flying across the room.
And the oven coming to kill everybody.
But of course, nothing's alive. It's magnetism. So it's all magnetic stuff being pulled. Because again, we're right next to the dome. We're feet from the dome. So it's the strongest here, right? Compared to anywhere else.
Yeah, Joe ends up getting stuck with a nail in the table. They try to get him out. Meanwhile, Jim is going for the guns, but things go badly there. He ends up trapped in the storm cellar. Joe gets out. Basically, he gets out of
the nail goes all the way through his hand. And that hole is like, ooh, that's like, that's creepy to think about.
So Barbie comes in and tries to get this thing off that's blocking the door. They get, very narrowly, they all avoid getting ovened to death because the oven is coming to kill them.
Yeah, so everybody gets out of the house, including they drag Carolyn out, and then the house collapses.
Which I'm assuming is because all the nails...
Because all the nails pulled out of the walls, right? So the building literally just collapses.
Right.
Which suggests a lot of the town's buildings collapsed, all the ones that are right next to the dome.
Right, yeah.
Isn't Julia's house feet from the dome as well?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
But I don't think that had any problems. So I'm pretty sure we continue to stay in her house the rest of the season.
Yep.
Okay. Just like her side of the dome isn't affected by the bomb either.
Except Barbie at one point is going to get kicked out and Sam is going to be taking residence in there. But that happens a little bit later. But anyway, while Jim is stuck there, he's visited by the ghost of Dodie. Jolene Purdy's
he has a vision of Dodie.
Right.
It's not her ghost. It's definitely not her ghost.
It's the dome.
It's the dome. The same way we've seen other dead characters come back in visions. So yeah, we have the reprisal of Dodie Weaver by Jolene Purdy. This is her final appearance on the series.
Yep. So the ghost Dodie continues to taunt him. And then the gang of Nori and Barbie bring Caroline to the school for some strange reason.
Okay, they go to the school.
Right.
Because here it is.
Yeah.
It's the center of the dome, so it's the least magnetic, so there's no problem here.
Right. Yes.
Did you know what I have to say about that? But back up to Jim in the storm cellar for just a second. The reason he can't get out is because all this metal stuff has piled up on top of the metal door.
Gotcha.
My question is, why? Isn't all the metal stuff heading to the dome? Why would it stop here?
I don't know.
Why is it blocking him? Is it literally saying the dome is blocking him on purpose? To keep him in here to talk to him?
Maybe?
Because that's ridiculous.
I mean, I thought maybe, like, the metal was, like, trying to get out.
No, but it was crashing in against the door.
So, yeah, that does not make any sense.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't stuff on the inside blocking the door. For him, it was the stuff on the outside blocking the door.
It would suggest that the dome has some extra control over the magnetic pulses.
Yes, the dome is what's causing the magnetic stuff. But we're trying to, like, say, hey, that's science. It's magnetism.
Right. So,
but this metal is behaving differently than all the other metal.
So the dome is intentionally...
It's like the door of the bunker also became super magnetized. So the metal's coming to it.
So the dome is specifically trying to
trap him so that it can talk to him through Dodie.
Right.
And give him this message that basically everything you're doing, everything that's happening is your fault and you are the only one who can fix it.
Right.
But you're not listening to me. And no, he's not listening to her. No. He tells her, like, just go be dead.
Right. So Rebecca continues to talk science nonsense, and they come up with a tech solution to wake everyone up, which includes this magnet tower. Angie thinks this isn't going to work and they should just kill Jim instead.
Oh, and in this room, in the high school, in the science room, Rebecca has built this whole scale model of the dome. So we can see, like, here's the dome and here's the school right in the middle of it.
Nice.
And I'm going to bring it up again, and I've said this 100 times, but this is the place.
Right.
We were told in season 1 that the center of the dome was a freaking empty field. It's where we found the mini dome. Remember the mini dome?
I do remember the mini dome.
Joe went to the center of the dome with the dog, trying to find the nucleus of the dome. And he found the mini dome in the woods just off from this empty field.
Right.
The middle of the dome, we were told in season 1, was woods/field. There were no buildings around.
Maybe the magnetic pulse pulled
now,
the
did the whole dome move?
Maybe.
Because now the center of the dome is right in the middle of town, and it's the high school.
Right.
And that's going to be very important going forward of why this spot is the middle of the dome.
Yes.
So forget everything we were told in season 1. Here's the new story where everything is about this school.
Right. In season 3, we're going to be doing the exact same thing in a different manner. But so Barbie is not down with the whole killing Jim thing. I don't understand why not. I mean,
because he's the good guy.
I guess so. So
he's just like, well, let's do what the teacher says first and see if it works. I don't think he would have been opposed to killing Jim if they were literally out of other options. But he's like, let's try science first before murder.
Right. I mean, that's generally a good policy.
Probably. Yeah.
So Nori and Angie stay behind with Caroline while everybody else goes off to do this crazy science shit.
They're gonna go build a giant magnet.
Yeah. Anyway, Sam with the mystery girl. She wakes up. Julia is impressed by Sam's bedside manner. Julia vaguely describes what happened. She thinks that what is happening is her fault, and she leaves Sam and the girl and is given a knife for no reason.
Okay, yeah. So this scene.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, she says, there's bad things happening out there. It's my fault, and I'm the only one who can fix it. How does she know anything about what's happening out there?
Because she's the monarch.
She has been in Sam's cabin all day.
Yes.
She doesn't know the town is falling apart. She knows there's lights and sounds. But she hasn't seen anybody passed out. Right. She hasn't seen the magnet stuff happening. So what does she think is happening?
I don't know. Something bad.
She knows it's bad, but all she's done is seen lights and sounds.
Right.
And she also knows that only she can fix it, which is maybe this monarch thing got to her head a little bit.
Maybe.
So yeah, she leaves Melanie with Sam, and she's like, you can look after her, right?
Yep.
Oh, and also, we didn't mention this, but when Sam first went to help them and pulled her out of the water,
it seemed like she recognized her.
He recognized her, and that's very important to remember.
Yes, and Sam goes to her book of some
and he gave her the knife. I got to comment on that.
Yeah.
He gives her this knife, and my note is, why? He's like, he hands her the knife, and he's like, be safe, and she's like, I will. And it was like part of a video game quest, right? That you're handed this thing that you need, and it does become important later, but why did he hand her a knife? Why did she take the knife? Why wasn't she like, what's this for?
Right.
What? What is this moment?
I mean, maybe it's Dome's way of giving Julie the knife.
So are you saying that Sam's being controlled by the Dome?
At this moment? Perhaps. I don't know. All right.
It would have made more sense if Melanie gave her the knife.
Right. Yeah, you're right about that. So Sam goes to a book with a bunch of drawings in it. I think this
it's like a journal?
I think this is eventually revealed to be.
Oh yeah. It's Pauline's.
Yeah,
it's Pauline's journal.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's looking through. There's like, it's like a scrapbook of sorts.
We see the bloody 4 hands, and then there's a drawing of the missing girl.
Of the girl.
Right.
Well, she's not missing right now.
Well,
she's the mysterious girl, Melanie Cross. There's a picture of her.
Yep.
A drawing.
So she ends up in a trance walking down the street.
Yeah, so okay, I guess she is missing now. He goes in the living room and she's gone.
Yeah. So Angie goes to the Sweetbriar Road.
And sees Melanie. And is like, hey, do you need help? And she ignores her. So Angie's like, okay, cool. She goes.
Yeah, whatever. Just go off and die. I don't care.
I mean, remember, like, the whole town's, like, passed out, so.
Right.
Yeah, there's stuff happening.
So she wants to kill Jim.
She's here to look for a gun.
Right.
She's supposed to be at the school.
Right.
Babysitting Carolyn with Nori, and she's like, peace out, Nori, I'm going to go kill Jim.
Right. Junior comes in, and now he thinks Jim must die.
Yeah, so he's come to terms with the vision of the 4 hands killing Jim, and he's on board.
Yeah, and initially I was like, how did Junior get here? But you made a pretty convincing case of why Junior could have arrived here. So when we were talking about with his dad. Yes. So
he gets it now that his dad is the problem, right? And he's also at this point truly believes the Dome is talking to him, and he needs to start listening, because when he doesn't listen to the Dome, bad shit happens.
Right. So Jim is still trying to get out of the shelter. Dodie says she's a messenger, and Dodie tells Jim that he needs to learn how to sacrifice. Barbie and Co. set up the magnet. Barbie plugs it in, but nothing is happening. Basically,
and this is where I'm like, okay, so Rebecca and Barbie are doing this, and Joe, and there's random town folk helping, like a dozen people are helping.
Yes. Who
all an hour ago thought Barbie was a murderer. This is the moment where it's like, oh, we forgot about that. Cool. We put that aside.
Yeah.
Nobody cares that he was about to be executed. We're just helping him now. He has a plan. It must be something we should do.
Right.
Always do what the killer tells you to do.
I mean, they listen to Jim, so why not?
And also Rebecca, because all of a sudden this character that hasn't existed through any of the last 3 weeks, everybody respects her and is going to listen to her.
Yes. And she's like, well, it's not working now, but it just needs time to charge.
Right.
Okay.
We got to charge the giant magnet.
So Dodie basically threatens if Jim doesn't knock it off, Junior will be the one to pay the price. Jim sets off a grenade and basically uses that to blow the metal away and escapes the shelter.
Yeah. And is that a wrap on the fallout shelter? I feel
probably.
like it should be after blowing the door off of it.
Probably. I mean, it's not useful anymore, but yeah. So the dome hiccups again. I don't know why I have hiccups here.
A pulse and light hits again is what I have.
Yeah. Knocking out Junior, Angie, Joe, Nori, and Rebecca.
And a bunch of extras.
Right. Leaving Jim and Barbie and Julia awake.
Right.
Junior finds himself in an empty world.
Yeah, so he wakes up, but he doesn't.
Right. And then he spots a woman, which turns out to be his mom. I didn't even take note of the actress that was playing her.
My goodness. Okay. So this is Pauline Rennie.
Yep.
The mother of Junior, who we've been told has been dead for 9 years. She killed herself. Right. And they covered it up and said it was an accident.
Yes.
Okay. That's her. The one who painted the Pink Stars Are Falling painting.
Yes. Yep.
All right. So she's played by Sherry Stringfield. Sherry was in 143 episodes of Guiding Light, 142 episodes of ER, and an episode of In Plain Sight, among many other things.
Oh, okay. They are shocked to see each other.
Yeah, so he's like hallucinating, dreaming, something, right? Because he's passed out.
I mean, this is not necessarily confirmation here that she's alive.
Right.
But though later in the episode,
we'll
get that.
So he's seeing his dead mom while he's passed out on the sidewalk is what's happening right now. And we're in a town called Zenith. That is ID'd in this scene because he picks up a snow globe. Because remember, snow globes are important already in season 1. So we're continuing that. He picks it up out of a store window, which was really weird because the way store windows work is the merchandise is inside the window.
Well, this is not...
It's a dream thing, right? But it isn't.
Right.
But it...
Is
it a dream for her? Is she asleep? Or is she walking down the street?
I am not really clear about that, but it seems like this place is pretty empty.
Yeah.
So this can't possibly
it must
be
be a dream for both of them.
Yes.
Like, by dream, I just mean something not tangible.
So we're really going by dream logic here.
Right. So he picks up the snow globe out of the store window from the street and looks at it, and it says Zenith, and it's got this obelisk, which is going to play out through the rest of the season, at least. I don't recall if Zenith's important in season 3 or not. Anyways.
I don't believe so.
Suddenly, all the water in the snow globe turns blood red.
Yep.
He drops it on the ground, and it smashes, and that's when he sees his mom and follows her. Right. So we got our setting, which, again, it's an important setting throughout the rest of the season.
Meanwhile, Jim is running around looking for Junior. Barbie reunites with Julia, who's shocked to see that he's still alive. They hug, they kiss. Barbie thinks the next wave might take them out too. Jim cries over his son and begs the dome for answers. Suddenly he gives a shit about his son. When Ghost Linda appears, who tells him that he only does for his own good.
He has a funny line. He says, "Who are you supposed to be, the ghost of Christmas future?"
Right.
And it's like, yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
That's what she's doing.
Yeah. She tells him the time is running out, but it's not too late to learn the virtue of sacrifice, and indicates the noose.
Yeah. So we're led to believe that Jim's supposed to die.
Yes.
So he's had 2 dead characters now. And again, this is the final appearance for both of them, for Jolene Purdy's Dodie and for Natalie Martinez's Linda. they're both telling him, you need to sacrifice yourself.
Yeah.
And that's going to save the day.
Mm-hmm.
So she's pointing to the noose. And you know what? I'm betting that the promotional material for this episode, I don't remember, but I'm betting it was like, not everyone's going to survive.
Ooh.
And you're led to think that Jim is about to die.
Right.
Because they really, like, are playing into that. Like, the dome's telling him he has to die.
I mean, being real here, the most recognizable actor in this series is Dean Norris as Jim. So there's no way they were going to kill him off.
I mean, but we had all this, like, the four hands are trying to murder him. The dome's telling him he has to sacrifice himself.
Right.
We're doing all this just to get where we're about to get.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
Yes, we're going to be there real soon.
Okay.
So Jim climbs up, ready to put himself in the noose. Barbie and Julia find him, but he can't pull the lever himself. Barbie's like, Jim, what are you doing? No, don't do it.
He says he can't reach the lever, and I'm really confused by that, because it sure as heck looked like he had like 4 feet of rope left, and he could have reached the lever.
Right. So I'm kind of curious why Barbie even cares that Jim is about to kill himself.
Because he's the good guy.
Okay, fine.
And he didn't have a vision about killing Jim. Just the kids want to kill him.
Right.
Although he was just told by Angie about the vision. So he knows the dome is telling people to kill Jim.
Right. So Julia volunteers to pull the lever. Barbie tries to stop her, but she goes anyway. She goes up there, tries to pull the lever.
She asks Jim why now, and he's like, just pull it. It doesn't matter.
And she says, do it now, kind of like what she was telling Junior to do in the season finale.
Yeah.
And she basically says she can't. He calls her a coward. He stomps on the bottom. The bottom falls out. He's, basically falling. His neck is about to snap. And she ends up using the knife.
The knife! Ta-da!
That Sam gave her. And basically cuts the rope so that he does not die. And she tells him, this is what the dome wants, to end the killing.
This is what the dome wants to end the killing, except she's not receiving messages from the dome.
Right. No.
She's the monarch, though, so maybe she is receiving all these messages. But if that's the case, show us that she's receiving something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then everyone regains consciousness.
Yeah, so they fixed it because Jim faced sacrifice, but he didn't have to actually die. He just had to be willing to.
Okay.
And now Jim's redeemed, I guess.
Right.
Is what we're going with.
Right. Of course, that's not going to be the case going forward, but, we'll see.
It's for this moment.
Yes. So, Mystery Girl looks at Linda and says sorry to her.
So Melanie is sitting with Linda's body, holding her.
Yes.
Behind the car. How'd she even get there?
I mean, she's part of the dome, so she was able to move the car somehow.
Okay,
I don't know.
So the noise stopped, all the metal falls away, but when the car falls away, she's already sitting there holding Linda.
Right.
And she apologizes to her.
Yes.
And it's like, that's not creepy at all.
It seems to be some kind of indication that Mystery Girl, who seems to have no memories, has some kind of memory.
Well, we don't know yet that she has no memory.
Right, yeah.
Like, this is the first time we've seen her, conscious.
Right. So, Rebecca is convinced...
The gallows are taken down. The whole town's like, yay, murder's bad. Barbie's good.
Right. Rebecca is convinced that it's the tower that made everything work. As she meets Julia for the first time, Julia isn't as convinced because she's the monarch. I don't even know if that's going to be a continued thing.
I think that's it. I think we're a wrap on that at this point. Her job was to throw the egg in the lake, and that was that.
So we see the Sweetbriar Cafe and a Stephen King cameo.
Yeah, Stephen King asks Angie to top off his coffee.
And then Jim tells Phil that Barbie is innocent.
So Phil goes... This is our first time seeing Phil in this episode.
Well, no, we actually do see him.
Well, this is his first lines.
Right, he's in the crowd. He doesn't get any lines.
But this is his first, scene.
Right.
He comes up to Jim and he's basically like, WTF, Jim.
Right.
I thought we were taking Barbie down. He killed Dodie.
Right. And,
fill me in.
And Jim's basically like, nope, Barbie is innocent.
He's like, the dome told me Barbie's innocent.
Right.
We got it wrong. He doesn't confess.
Right, no.
Because Phil would have killed him immediately if he confessed to killing Dodie.
And then Jim gives Phil the sheriff's badge, which, by the way, makes absolutely zero sense. Now, even from a narrative standpoint.
It makes zero sense on so many levels. When did he even get it?
Right. Right, yeah. I mean, he would have to get it off Linda's dead body.
Right.
Like,
when did that happen?
but also, okay, so here's where I'm going to bring up Junior again. Giving Phil the badge makes no sense. Handing the badge off to someone like Junior and not have him be a good guy, continuing to have him be an antagonist, maybe even cross purposes with everybody as a sheriff would make sense.
Right.
And also, you know who else would have made sense to be the sheriff? If we had actually used his character at all, other than background noise, make Carter the sheriff.
Carter's still a cop, isn't he? Just because we don't see him again.
Right.
Where'd he go?
Actually have him continue to be an antagonist in season 1 instead of background noise.
Yeah.
Butting heads with Joe, and then turn him into the sheriff. And then you can make the point, like Linda, for all her faults in season 1, actually gave a shit about justice. Mm-hmm. You know, she gave a crap about obeying the Constitution and respecting people and law. And then hand the sheriff's badge off to someone who doesn't give two shits about that, which would be Junior in an antagonist role, or Carter.
Right.
That would have made much more sense.
So from Jim's perspective...
And it would have fit in with Stephen King's themes.
And what actually happened in the book.
Right.
What happened in the book is these kids that become the deputies, like, just start, like, raping and murdering everybody.
Right.
That's what happened to the police in the books. So, yeah, having Carter step up and actually, like, exist would have made a lot of sense.
Yes.
Now, from Jim's perspective, he wants to give it to somebody who is in his pocket. Somebody he can control.
And that makes complete sense.
And that could have been Carter.
It could have been.
Could have been Carter.
Yeah.
It would have been a very different story if we, like you said, changed Junior's entire arc and made him the bad guy.
Would that have been a bad thing if we had a different story
here? But where we are right now, Jim knows that his son is against him, so he's not going to pick him now.
So basically, Phil is a useless sheriff, and I think that's kind of the point.
That's the point, right.
But it's also a weak point when we could have made a better one if we had gone with a different story.
Right.
Yeah.
Or why does he just appoint himself sheriff at this point?
I mean, why not? Yeah.
And like, hey, I'm the only law in this town.
Right. And it would have fit in with season 1 with him being like a tyrannical dictator that he was leading into.
Right.
Like it would have.
Why are we bringing anybody else in?
Right. Instead, we're
because I honestly don't remember, what does Phil do in this position?
Nothing. He's basically Jim's stooge for the rest of the season until he dies. But like. So basically, we're reversing course on Jim's character.
I guess maybe we're just giving a reason to keep Phil Bushy around, Nicholas Strong, because we burned down the radio station, so that's done.
Right.
So they had to give him something to do if they wanted to keep his character active.
Right. So basically, we've completely changed Junior's personality. We're reversing course on Jim being a bad guy again, and he's going to continue to work with Barbie, which makes no sense at all, because Barbie should never trust him again after everything he did to him in the first season. But I kind of get...
But also he's in charge, so you kind of have to work with him?
I mean, yeah, and at the same time, Dean Norris and the actor who plays...
Mike
Vogel, Barbie... they have a chemistry together, so you kind of want to keep them together,
right?
Because they do have, like, you know, a good chemistry together.
And I don't think he ever trusts him,
right?
He just, I think, knows he has to
deal with him.
Yeah, because the town, Big Jim runs the town. You can't fix that. So
we have the opportunity for a much better story that we do not take. We don't go that direction. Instead, we go in a weaker direction than we could have.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah.
All right, moving along from that, because I went on quite a tangent about that. So
Jim invites Joe and Nori and her family to go stay at his house.
Caroline
gives them a key.
Yeah. Caroline accepts, and Nori's like, are you not aware of all the things that he did last season? Did you forget all that?
Last season, she said that.
Did she say that?
No, I'm teasing you.
Yeah. But did you forget everything that Jim did? And Caroline is basically like, my memory's fine. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
Right. Now, here's what I think they should stay. Remember at the beginning,
there's not like another house they could stay in somewhere that's not Jim's house.
Well, you don't want me to talk about the hotel that doesn't exist until season 3.
Or, you know, Julia's house is pretty big.
Here's what I have to say. Remember at the beginning of season 1 where the family was staying? In a guest room upstairs, right here at Sweetbriar.
Okay, yeah.
And now, all the rooms up there are empty because Rose is dead.
Yes.
So maybe they should just move in here where they originally were staying.
Right.
That would make a lot more sense. And Joe can move in there too because there's another room.
There's not other houses that have also been abandoned that they can go stay in.
I mean, Joe can go stay at his sister's apartment.
Right.
She has a place outside of the house that collapsed.
Right.
Which, what happens to that place? I don't know. I don't think we go there.
I mean, Angie's not going to be using it for much longer.
Exactly.
Right.
Joe can live there.
Yes.
His family, it's his house, basically.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like.
Right. So Rebecca tells
Jim...
Do
they stay... I don't remember, though. Like, do they stay with Jim? Is that where we're going? Like, sure the rest of the show, they just live with Jim?
I don't know that... I don't know that they stay with Big Jim for the rest of the show.
Or do we just forget that they have to live somewhere?
Right. I don't know. But I know that this season we actually do see them at Big Jim's house. But Rebecca tells Jim that the place has problems, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, she's like, I can't sleep tonight, and you shouldn't either because
right.
power and water and this is where he brings her into the fold. He's like,
right.
let's figure it out tomorrow over breakfast. And she's so delighted. She's so delighted that she's being invited to help run the town, basically.
Right. It's kind of funny because this almost seems kind of like the thing you would do with a love interest. Like, hey, let's talk about this over breakfast.
No, this is him using his power to bring her in because he thinks she can be helpful. And for someone who's really smart, she's being awful freaking stupid because don't you know that he's the killer? Haven't we covered this? Because you already spent the day working with Barbie.
Yes.
And you believe he's not the killer because he said so.
Right. And I think Barbie and Jim and Rebecca, no, it is actually Rebecca. I thought I might be confusing with the actor. I think they continue to work together.
They do, yeah. They run the town,
yeah,
with Julia.
Right.
That's the town power right there.
Right.
It's so weird.
Yes. So Angie talks to Jim. She's not going to forgive him.
She's the one that's like, I'm not going to just roll over.
Right.
She's the person remembering he's the bad guy.
Right. Angie asks if Junior still has her back. You had my back today. Are you going to continue to have my back? When did Junior have Angie's back? I mean, what did he do for her
when
exactly?
he said, I'm going to go get a gun for you to kill my dad, which didn't happen.
It didn't happen, so nothing happened with that at all.
Right, but he told her, like, I'm on your side, we're going to kill my dad. So I think that's what she's saying is, like, is that still the plan?
So as they're talking, Sam comes in. Junior is surprised to see him, and he says he's looking for a 17-year-old girl, which I think kind of sounds a little sus. Hey. Yeah, but anyway, yeah.
Okay, so this is where we get confirmation that Sam is Junior's uncle.
Right, yeah.
We did get a nugget earlier. He said he's been a recluse in the cabin for 9 years since his sister died.
Right.
But we didn't get confirmation that Pauline is his sister until this moment.
Right.
Where Junior's like, Uncle Sam, I haven't seen you since I was a kid. Where you been?
Right.
And he's just like, never mind. I'm looking for this girl. Have you seen her?
Right. The 17-year-old minor girl that I'm looking for.
That nobody knows.
Right.
Maybe he's had her locked in his cabin for 9 years. Who knows?
Right. So Sam ends up running into Julia.
But Angie's like, oh, I saw her.
Right.
Because remember, Angie saw her, and he sends her in the right direction.
Right.
And she sends him in the right direction.
He ends up running into Julia, and Barbie ends up meeting Sam. This seems a little like there's some tension here because Julia and Sam might be having a little thing going on.
Here's the thing I picked up in this moment earlier when Sam had asked Julia like who stitched her up, and Julia said, it's my friend, but he didn't make it. And that's all that was said about that, right?
Right.
In this scene, he meets Barbie and he's like, I'm glad to see you made it. How the frick does he know this is the person she was talking about? He said, nice work with the stitches. I'm glad you made it. How do we know this is the person she was talking about?
Yeah.
What?
That's another jump to conclusions thing that I was talking about last season.
Yeah.
That continues to be a
There was a lot of
major
it
problem
in this episode.
Yeah. And it will continue to happen throughout the season. And the rest of the series for that matter. But yeah. So They go their separate ways, and Jim...
Oh, yeah, because Julia asks him, like, how's the girl? And he's like, she's missing, but I'm gonna find her.
Right.
Okay.
So Jim and Junior talk about seeing Sam, which they haven't seen since his mom's funeral. Jim apologizes to Junior for what he said earlier. Junior says he saw his mom. Oh, yeah, actually, I'm sorry. So what? This is really funny.
It's hilarious, is what I have in uppercase letters.
Yeah, Jim apologizes for dismissing what he said there earlier, and then proceeds to dismiss what Junior says.
It's worse than that, because Junior's trying to tell Jim, I don't think Uncle Sam popping up today is a coincidence, because, and he's trying to tell him about seeing his mom while he was passed out.
Right.
Jim interrupts him while he's trying to tell the story, to tell him, I'm sorry for dismissing you.
Right.
Like, literally, you're stopping him from talking by telling him you're sorry for not giving any attention to things he has to say.
Okay.
Like literally, you're doing it right now. And then does it again once Junior actually tells him the story.
Right.
So Junior tells him, hey, I saw Mom, and I don't think... Sam popping up is a coincidence. It's the dome telling me something. And so he's trying to reach out to his dad. Even though he told Angie, like, yeah, I should probably kill my dad. He's trying again. He's trying to reach his dad and to actually communicate with him and to get his dad on his side that the dome is talking to us and we need to listen to the dome. Which would make sense for Jim to actually be on that side, because remember, he just got a message from the dome, was told he needed to sacrifice himself, decided to do that. He literally was going to kill himself to save his son and to save the world. And then he was saved. And he's supposed to come out of this believing in the dome and listening to the dome. But instead, he's like, son, it was a dream. Your mom is dead. Sam's a loser, and just completely dismisses him and the idea of talking to the dome.
And then basically he calls him Junior, but then Junior at this point is angry and says, don't call me Junior, my name is James.
Right.
So we cut to
Pauline
seeing his actual mom in the real world. She has a...
So she calls out to James.
Right.
She calls him James.
Yes.
She's the good parent.
Right.
That listens to her son. That's what we're being told.
And we see a painted black door, which she then paints red.
She paints the door red, and there's a TV in the background giving us an update about the dome and how the darkness cleared today. This is our confirmation that this is now. This is happening. This isn't a dream. This isn't a flashback to when Mom was alive.
Right.
This is her today in the day we just lived.
Right. Yes.
Outside of the dome, we can see the zenith obelisk in the background of the window.
Angie takes out the trash.
Oh, and also Jack Bender's art.
Of course.
She's painting the door, but there's all these other paintings everywhere. So lots more Jack Bender art in this scene.
So Angie ends up taking out the trash late at night. She sees the girl sleepwalking. Angie follows her.
Was she sleepwalking? I thought she was just walking.
Yeah, she probably was just walking. So Angie follows her into the school. They look at each other in the school. The girl runs away.
Melanie's looking in a locker.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
She's got her face in this one locker, like paying very much attention to it. She runs away when she sees Angie. Angie asks if she's okay, starts following her, but then abruptly stops and goes to the locker.
Right.
Why?
Well, she noticed it was open.
Sure, but like it's weird that you're trying to chase this girl and you're just going to stop chasing her to see like, oh, what was in that locker that she was looking at? It's another one of these things like that shouldn't be important. It is important.
Yes.
But why in that moment did Angie stop chasing her and go look at the locker?
Yeah, fair enough. And she then turns...
Okay, so first of all, she reacts to what she sees in the locker.
Yeah.
She goes like, oh, because we don't know yet, but that's not a locker.
Right.
But then in the same breath, instantly, it's a murder scene.
Right.
An axe comes down on Angie.
And
blood splatter everywhere. Bloody handprint on the locker.
And she's dead.
And Angie's dead. We killed Angie.
Now, I don't have as much of a problem with this death, even though I don't like it. I like Britt Robinson. She was hot.
Okay.
plus, she has a great personality.
Now this is not Britt's final appearance.
No, she has one more appearance.
She's gonna pop back up
episode 10
into 10.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm assuming as a voice for the Dome.
I actually remember that scene specifically. She's talking to Junior, and it seems like she's talking as Angie and not the Dome.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But Angie did.
Yeah.
We killed Angie. That sucks. I hated that. I remember being so upset about this. Like, we killed 2 female main characters.
Yeah, we fridged. That's being known as being fridged.
Like, what? Why? Why are we doing this? And we replaced them with Rebecca and Melanie.
Right. So
as the female town leadership and the female teen.
So, Angie's death actually means something going forward.
It does.
It actually means something for the character of Joe, and it means something for the character of Junior, even though I don't give 2 shits about that. But it means something to the main characters, and it continues to mean something throughout the rest of the series.
Sure, but also, like, we didn't have to do it that way.
No. And which is why I don't object to this death as much as I do Linda's death, because Linda's death doesn't mean jack shit for the rest of the series. Now, we could have given that meaning if we had gone, and done the story as I suggested it, where we have these 2, like a Junior or a Carter who don't give 2 shits about the law and start, being a menace.
Mm-hmm.
But
I feel like they did Linda and Angie both dirty.
Yes.
By just like, let's kill them both
yes.
in the first episode of the season.
Yeah.
If you wanted to kill them both, could we not have spread it out a little bit at least?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
I was reading an interview that Britt did at the time that this episode came out. And she actually was surprised that she was brought back for 201. She was only signed for 10 episodes.
Okay.
So going into it, she was pretty convinced her character was going to die in episode 10. So they extended her story an episode.
For what? Well, I mean, what was the point?
I guess just to not put that in the finale and to put it here.
Okay, I guess.
So yeah, she knew the whole time that she wasn't going on past season 1.
Gotcha.
And I guess it is better than what her book character got when she died on like page 5.
Right. Yeah.
So there's that.
Yes.
We got more of her than we could have.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I like I said, I don't object to that death as much because it actually has meaning going forward in the series. But
it just feels like what the frick? Like 4 hands, and that's going to continue. The 4 hands are important.
Right.
But like, let's just replace one of them.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, all in all, it's kind of a mess of a premiere. It's all over the place.
It gives you whiplash.
Right. The writing.
There's a lot going on because we're trying to resolve that stuff from season 1.
Right.
We're trying to set up our entire story for season 2. We're getting rid of characters, bringing in new characters, and we're doing it too quickly.
Right.
All while trying to deal with our problem of the week, which is the whole magnet stuff.
Right. Yeah, and there's some definite decline in the writing, which granted started happening towards the end of season 1.
I mean,
really
we saw it like halfway through season 1 is when we really saw like, wait, it's starting to get bad already.
Right. And the whole jumping to conclusions thing, which is going to continue to be an issue.
All right, I've got some cast stuff to talk about.
Yep.
Not in this episode are 2 not main characters, but recurring characters. Andrea Grinnell and Ben Drake. No mention of them in this episode. As far as background actors, we got a bunch.
Yep.
There were no one-offs in this episode, though. The only person listed as, not a recurring character, but not uncredited, was Stephen King.
Okay.
So he got an actual credit because he talked to Angie.
Yes.
But for uncredited people, this is the only episode for Brylan Ann. She was in the movie The Longest Ride, which I actually found out that Britt Robertson starred in that.
Yes.
I keep seeing The Longest Ride in all these people's credits, but I don't know what it was. But she mentioned it in that interview. I read that was the next project she was filming.
Oh, cool.
Also, the only episode for Kayla Narin, and this is actually her only IMDb listing. Only episode for Kevin J. O'Connor. He was in 13 episodes of Banshee, The Taking of Deborah Logan, and The Longest Ride.
Taking of Deborah Logan is another Stephen King property.
It's one that pops up a lot, so it
Yes.
must have been filmed in the same place, because
Yeah.
we get a lot of these same people in that. Also, the only episode for Marlo Scheitler. She was in 2 episodes of Banshee, the movie Max, and The Taking of Deborah Logan. She's her listing is woman in front of church. I'm not sure where we saw the church. Oh, we did the church, the bell. She must have been there in that. Okay. So she was fighting magnetism. This is our first appearance by Tim Green. I think he's a football player based on what I was seeing in his IMDb. It was like Red Zone and stuff.
Oh, all right.
Just the name Tim Green mean anything to you?
I mean, it doesn't, but I guess it does sound kind of familiar. It does sound kind of like
I think he's a football player.
Okay.
But this is his first appearance of 4 this season. We're going to see him a few more times.
All right.
And then we have returning people that we've already seen. They do have some continuity. So there was a bunch of people we only see once for some reason. We do have some continuity, though. All the following people that were in season 1 background came back, and that's Rochelle Eichloth, William Fresca, Joseph Milton Hodges Jr. and Sr., and Nancy Rose Hodges, Mary Jo Jackson, Carlos St. James, Joe Montani, Carolyn Kahn, and David Pasqua all make returning appearances in this episode.
All right. Do we have anything else to say before
That
concluding?
is it for the cast. But yeah, all the 4 characters we met this episode are going to continue through at least this season.
Yeah.
And be, like, important.
Right.
We do have one more character that's going to be added to the cast that wasn't in this episode. I just wish they had done that for all of them. Spread them out a little bit. We don't need to meet all these people in, like, 5 minutes.
Yes.
If you're going to give us 5 new characters, we don't need 4 of them at once.
And the other character also isn't a bad person to not have seen prior, because they just kind of like...
I feel like, and obviously we'll talk about him when we meet him, but I'm going to give my first impression now, since I haven't watched this in a while.
Okay.
And I don't know if I'll feel the same way after watching it again, and, now that we're covering the series, but I always kind of felt like he was just replacing Lester Coggins.
Okay.
Like, I feel like they just wanted to bring that kind of a vibe back. And they're like, oh, we killed him, so let's just bring in a new dude.
Okay.
I feel like if they hadn't killed Coggins, they would have given that storyline to him.
Interesting. Okay.
Although, what religion was he?
No idea.
But he could have just not decided he wanted to be a priest yet when that happened.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
There you go. That story would have made a lot more sense, I think. If we hadn't killed Coggins, it could have been like, oh, this was his story. And maybe that's the reason he did become this, like, creepy, weird, I'm supposed to be religious, but I'm also really broken, and I'm a drug addict, and I'm crazy. It would have fit. The storyline would have fit him.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
And I always just felt like some link between him and I don't even remember the character's name, but the character we're going to meet probably next week, I imagine.
I think. I'm not sure.
Within the next couple, anyways.
Right.
And yeah, the other thing I said earlier about the knife, that just would have made so much more sense if the girl, Melanie, had handed her the knife.
Yeah.
That would have fit. It would have been explainable.
Right, because like...
Because Melanie, is doing things for the dome.
Right.
Right? Which we already know, because, like, she's just holding Linda's body and apologizing to her. So we already have hints that she's somehow connected to the dome.
Correct.
So it would have made more sense if she was the one orchestrating shit.
Right.
By being like, here's a knife, you're going to need it for your quest.
And I'm surprised we didn't have like this shining light down on this. And anyway, so yeah, I think that's good. I think we're done.
I think we're done.
All right. We'd like to hear from you. What'd you think of this podcast? What'd you think of this episode? Stacie, reach out.
I can reach on Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at TV and Coupon Talk.
If you like this video and want to support the channel, there are ways to do so. You can follow me on Twitter at Core Productions. You can join the Core Productions Facebook page. You can buy something from the Core Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a coffee. You can join the Core Productions membership starting at 99 cents a month. And of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video as well as subscribing to the channel. This is Dave and Stacie from Core Productions signing off.